happened yet.
It's
So,
like the old Orson Welles radio show. They're here.
yeah.
Oh, in the beginning, this is just for entertainment purposes. You don't hear this, Harley. Oh yeah, the aliens are here.
Well,
everybody gets scared and kills each other. And,
okay. Well, okay. Here's my prediction. Okay, I'm gonna write a book tomorrow, and you know what it's gonna be? I'm gonna finish it off in 3 days. By the way, and it's 538 pages long. But you know what? I'm going to say that, the government already knows, because what happened on the Nimitz a couple years ago, right? The two pilots saw a UFO and chased after it, and it was gone, okay? Then you had the Secretary of the Air Force, graduating cadets last year, telling them that our next war won't be on ground, it's going to be in space. Then a couple months later, we have our president say we're going to create a space force. Okay, well, I'm going to write a book. The government knows we're going to be invaded. Okay? Aliens are going to take over our world and make us Soylent Green. Anybody remember Soylent Green?
Yeah. They're here to serve man.
Okay. Well, Soylent Green, Charles Houston.
That was a crazy movie.
Oh, yeah, but a lot of people don't realize that. You know what they would do? They would, the life was really bad. They didn't even have strawberry jam. You remember that part in the movie? Yeah. But you know what? People didn't realize they'd give you a fancy, basically a send-off, when they figured you or they figured you were too old, okay, to serve the community, right? You could go into this real fancy place, right? And they would show wall-to-wall pictures of what Earth was like, with deer running and mountains and fresh water in the stream, right? And then, you slip off and die, right? Of course, they didn't tell you what was going to happen to your body. They'd come by like in a laundry cart, toss your body into it, right? Walk down to the end of the corridor of the building, right, and dump your body down a chute, which is then goes onto a conveyor belt.
Conveyor belt, yeah.
And then,
big grinder.
Then you're processed into this food nutrition that people were fighting on the streets for, because they're starving to death. Soylent Green. Hey, you're eating your ex-wife.
I'm not even going to touch that one. Oh, my.
Well, Eric, I wish I could be off where you're going to, But anyway, to the commissary. But, that's, I don't understand what is going on, okay? That's what I'm trying to make a point here.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. That's the thing. There's a lot of stuff in the pot going on at once. That alone is a distraction.
Well, yeah. So who knows what's coming down the corridor? I mean, it's just they're just making it's just like every day it's like a soap opera, only 10 times more exciting because you read the news, and of course it's all fake news, isn't it? But I mean, I don't understand what is going on and how the people are gullible. Look at what happened back with Nazi Germany when they went into some of these countries, right, and closed off the city and starved off the Jews, right? There were more Jews in that city that could have overran the Germans. They wouldn't have died, or they didn't have to get on that train to be going to the crematorium. They could have rebelled because there wasn't that many guards there with machine guns. Yeah, a lot of them got killed, but that would have sure stopped the situation fast. But they went to the slaughterhouse, and that's what scares me with today is as people go along with what is going on, and they don't have a mind. Come on,
it's amazing. Sometimes it truly is, especially the stuff you see out there. And that's a good point. Sometimes you got to just stop and just look and evaluate the situation. For the love of God, common sense. Sometimes, yeah, really.
Well, it scares me. It's like I said, it scares me that what is going on. Okay, you know what? It'd been really nice when we had our last election, right? If the people just said, hey, I'm not voting. And nobody voted, okay? It's crazy. I don't understand why. Somebody gets up there, right, and gives a good speech because people want to feel good, right? People want to feel good. They want to feel like, oh, gee, my sons aren't working. I haven't had a job in 2 years because, the economy. So they get up there, right? And somebody goes, oh, I'll create jobs. I'll create this and that. And then all of a sudden, you're the most loved guy in the world. It's scary. Again, I'm not against Trump. I'm not for Trump. I'm neutral on this because every day is like a soap opera. I don't understand what is going on. I don't understand why the people were putting up with this and why. It just reminds me of Rome, when the senators finally, whacked off the emperor. It's just, they're just, I don't understand that. Is politics, you got Republicans, you got the Democrats, and who knows what else party, but they should realize, people voted them in. Okay? But they get in there and they're their own man or whoever gives them money. And they know what's right and what's wrong. Okay? And they don't work to fix the situation. They could easily all work together and fix the situation for we're not going through what we're going through because you know what? In the next year or two, I predict we're going to go in the deepest recession next to a depression, which could happen. And people don't realize that we're going to start going into a recession shortly. You can't be $22 trillion in debt and not something happen and growing. You can't sit there and say, okay, well, I'm going to take the $6.6 billion or even $10 billion from the military or the funds to rebuild Puerto Rico or wherever, right, after what happened to them, and use it to build a wall. God, we again put a barrier in, whatever. Okay, you think that wall? I mean, the walls they manage. You know what? They showed on TV how easy it is to come through that wall. Hey, get yourself a good hacksaw. Oh, I'm going to make the wall where no one can get over it. Yeah, okay, they don't have to get over it. They just go right through it or underneath it. I don't understand this. What is going on? I just. I'm 67 years old. Maybe I'm going senile.
Well, some people would say, well, it's okay. It's a short trip.
Well,
anyway, the problem is a lot of the politicians, they're all, they're in love with themselves or whatever, and they all have separate agendas instead of working together. That's the big problem. They don't want to work together. They all have their own agendas.
Well, yeah. Well, watch them. Watch them, like when the president gave a speech, right? You got the Democrats, you got the Republicans, right? The other ones all kind of like give the frown. The other ones all go, and they're not working as an individual. It's just like if it's just like everybody, well, I'm a Republican, so I have to stay Republican. Oh, I'm a Democrat. I have to have 100% Democrat policy. I have to believe in our, but you know what? You got to believe in what your gut feels, what your heart feels, what your people in your community that you represent, what they're going through and will be going through. Okay?
Right.
I mean, this again, like this thing with his tax cut, which was the biggest joke in the world. And the Republicans knew it because they even came out and said it. Why do you think we had somebody didn't even run for re-election, that was in charge of the House? You know why he didn't do it? Because he's probably just done with it, done with politics.
It could be. I don't know, but it makes sense.
I don't know.
It's too bad they just all can't get together and work together. Even one party, just get together when you're there and try to work together to help the people, not to help yourselves.
Well, yeah, we need to do something and then I'm going to touch the last thing and then I'm done. What is hell wrong with people and our government by denying that, there's not really any global warming. There's nothing to worry about. Go look on the internet. Go read some books. What happened in the early 1900s in Russia when they went through a mini ice age? Look how many people died in their own frickin' houses. How they even tried to survive by burning their walls, the planks off their floor, trying to stay warm, and they froze to death in their own house because it got so frickin' cold. Now, What's going on with Antarctica and Iceland and Greenland and all this stuff? This ice is melting, people, way faster than what the government was even trying to tell you. And, we've been warned for years that this is going to happen. And for 20 years, you had so many scientists deny that there's such a thing as global warming. Well, you know what? We're going to go into global warming big time, and then we're going to go into the deep freeze very fast. And what's happening right now is with all this glaciers melting and all this ice melting in the Antarctica, right? Going into the ocean, right? The equator, that warm belt of water, it goes all the way up to the UK, right? Is going to stall because all this fresh water coming in, all this cold water coming in is going to lower that temperature where it's going to stall. That's the only thing that's keeping Europe from going into a deep freeze. Now, what's going to happen if that stalls? Okay, you want to go buy some property in the UK? How many people are going to turn into popsicles?
Oh, Lord. And then the ocean currents are going to change, and that actually helps keep the Earth as it is the ocean currents. And if those change or even change directions or change temperature, we're in big trouble.
Well, put it this way, go buy some property now while you can in Florida and on the East Coast, okay? Sell your house, okay, and go buy yourself a big houseboat. Okay.
Yeah, a boat.
Yeah, and go live on it. Go buy an old boat.
There's a reason why most houses, or if not all of them in Florida, don't have basements.
Well,
think about that for a minute.
Only because it would flood, number one, because if you dig a hole, it fills up with water.
Exactly. So that should tell you something. If you can have a basement because it will flood, that tells you it won't take much to put your property underwater.
Oh, yeah. Well, certain of the tides and stuff I was reading about, I can't remember what town it is in Florida, now the water comes all up down the main street of the town. And then, as the tide goes out, then it goes out. How long? One of these days, I don't know.
One of these days, the tide's just going to stay even when it's out.
Yeah. You know what? It's to the point, like I had a guest on a couple of weeks ago. I don't think we can stop it now. I think we're past it. We had 20-some years. We could have stopped it or we slowed it way down. I think about my kids, my grandkids, and their kids. What type of world are they going to have? We got so many weird things going on. And I'm sure the government, they know exactly what's going on. You could get somebody up there and deny it all they want. They deny everything they want. They deny they never saw a prostitute in their life either. But, I mean, let's look at it this way. What is going to happen? Okay? I mean, to our society, even 10 years from now, 20 years, I've been reading reports that, government said back here about a month ago, it's going to be 100 years before this the melting of the ice and all that is going to really cause a major problem, like Florida going underwater. 100 years. Then all of a sudden I read it was like 50. Then I read it's 40. Now I'm reading it's like 20 years out. And honestly, it's going to be even faster than that because the rate it's melting now is drastically faster than it was a year ago. So
if you took and looked at the world global map from, say, just Florida 20 years ago and look at it like a time lapse up to date and see how much land is underwater now, or even Louisiana or any of them coastal byways states there, I'm sure you would see a difference. Anywhere, even in Antarctica, North Pole, they've lost ice and gained terminal soil. I mean, it's what's happening, I guess.
Well, Eric Cooper just said, maybe we're starting like the new ice age now. I do think something is going on because you know what? Okay, the snowstorm we had here. Okay, I don't remember one like this since I was like in grade school. I'm 67 years old. I remember we had snow one time up in Seattle. It got about 2 feet deep, and it lasted for about 2 weeks before it melted all away. But ever since then, we've had snow like 4, 5, 6 inches, and they'd be gone in a day or two. I still got a good half a foot out on my property yet.